On the night of 14th of May 2014, at approximately 11:47 p.m., outside the flat at 26 Cambridge Street, Petone, Lower Hutt, Wellington, senior gang member Shane Pierrie Harrison was seen arriving in a black sedan, according to the police log 911 timestamp and surveillance stills from the adjoining car park. A passenger in the vehicle, later identified as Dylan Pakai, exited the car and approached a group gathered near the front entrance. Minutes later, a gunshot was logged in the dispatch report at 11:53 p.m., and a body was discovered in the foyer of the flat. This chain of events initiated the investigation. What became clear only later was that the routine confrontation had escalated into a fatal shooting tied to gang-affiliated conflict. On the afternoon of 14th May 2014, at 4:15 p.m., Shane Harrison arrived at his mate's address on Cambridge Street, Petone, in the Lower Hutt region of Wellington, after finishing a meeting at the local chapter house of the Mongrel Mob. According to his own recorded statement, he spent the interim hours reviewing correspondence on his mobile phone in the vehicle parked in the lot behind 26 Cambridge Street. The car's GPS log, extracted on 6 June 2014, confirms the vehicle remained stationary from 4:16 p.m. to 7:39 p.m. For him, this was a standard evening, informal gathering, ride-in, phone use. Nothing at this stage indicated the chain of events to come. The parking lot surveillance would later show the vehicle undisturbed throughout those hours, its occupant visible through the windscreen at intervals. Observation, routine setting, unremarkable motion. Procedural hook, the vehicle's GPS log would later be admitted as evidence. Shortly after 7:45 p.m., Harrison and Pakai left the flat together and proceeded to a nearby cafe on Jackson Street for dinner. CCTV footage from the cafe shows the two entering at 7:52 p.m. and departing at 9:03 p.m. The cafe receipt, retrieved from the business's cash register on 15th May 2014, records a $58.70 purchase at 8:16 p.m. That receipt would later anchor timing of the participants' movements. Witness statements from staff indicated neither appeared visibly agitated. Staff recalled the pair sitting at a corner booth, engaged in quiet conversation over coffee and sandwiches. On the surface, this was a normal outing. Human consequence, an evening of routine turned evidentiary. Procedural hook. The receipt and CCTV timestamps form a baseline for incident timeline reconstruction. By 10:22 p.m., Harrison drove the black sedan back to the car park behind 26 Cambridge Street. Pakai was seen on the vehicle's dashcam video, installed by Harrison 2 months earlier, arriving at 10:25 p.m. The dashcam recording was time-stamped by the unit and later copied by investigators on 18th of May 2014. Meanwhile, at 10:29 p.m., an unrelated theft was reported from the flat's foyer by a resident, a laptop and bag missing. That theft report, Hutt Police File, 04-131-115, places Harrison's vehicle in proximity during the crucial pre-incident window. The timing suggested Harrison and Pakai arrived just as the theft was being discovered, their presence coinciding with growing tension inside the building. On the face of it, the missing items seemed peripheral, yet the location and timing became central. Human implication, a routine return to base overlapped with a reported property loss. Procedural hook, theft report, tied location, and window of exposure. At 11:38 p.m., Harrison and Pakai walked from the vehicle toward the front door of the flat block. According to the 911 transcript, the call taker recorded, "Shots fired, multiple people after the car." The call originated at 11:53 p.m. from a witness at the block. Investigators would later confirm Harrison's vehicle ignition off time at 11:50 p.m. based on engine ECU logs. Family members of victim, Sio Matalasi, reported that Sio returned to the flat at 11:40 p.m. to drop off a friend. None foresaw what was about to happen. What appeared routine had converged on a moment of disruption. Prior to the shooting, the Petone chapter of the mongrel mob had been subject to a minor police operation in February 2014 involving unlawful possession charges, setting the institutional context for heightened scrutiny. The flat at 26 Cambridge Street had also been the scene of a prior affray in March 2014, recorded under Hutt police file 45620, establishing the location's instability. This history framed the environment investigators would soon confront. At 11:53 p.m. on 14th of May 2014, the 911 dispatch logged an entry. Unit Shift 459 to 26 Cambridge Street. Shots fired. Victim down. Officers Detective Sergeant Mark Barnes and Constable Lisa Ngata arrived at the scene at 11:59 p.m. They observed a male body lying outside, flat number 3, 26 Cambridge Street. Forensic photographers captured the scene at 12:02 a.m., documenting bullet entry and exit wounds. The initial police report, Hutt Police Report, Naulusta Zolga 14 113 159p, lists multiple spent cartridge casings in the foyer. The victim's identification was confirmed through wallet contents and visual recognition by a family member who arrived shortly after midnight. Investigative consequence: the scene was treated as a homicide from first responder stage. What had seemed like a routine evening gathering now demanded full procedural response. Perimeter tape, forensic protocol, witness canvassing. The shift from ordinary to institutional was complete within minutes. Procedural hook, crime scene log, and forensic photos mark start of formal investigation. Between midnight and 3:12 a.m. on 15th May 2014, forensic officers processed the car park and flat foyer. Lead forensic expert, senior forensic analyst Helen Tui noted in her report that 3 caliber .22 shell casings were recovered at 12:34 a.m., along with a black hooded jumper bearing fiber transfer consistent with a contact event. The forensics lab number BOF 14 222237 records these findings. Each casing was photographed in situ before collection, their positions marking a rough trajectory line from the foyer entrance toward the exterior walkway. Investigators then canvassed CCTV covering the lot and downloaded vehicle dash cam footage from Harrison's car at 8:17 a.m. on 15th of May. The evidence pointed to direct involvement of Harrison's vehicle and a passenger. Human consequence: a family notified at 4:13 a.m. that their son was dead. Procedural hook, forensic recovery and CCTV download turned a scene into a suspect-linked timeline. The accumulation of physical artifacts, shell casings, fibers, digital footage began to construct a narrative independent of witness recall. On 16th of May 2014, at 10:45 a.m., Detective Sergeant Barnes interviewed witness Miss M.N., partner of a flat occupant. She stated, "They came back and said they'd return. Then the shots." According to the interview transcript, investigation interview just IO4 04566, Ms. M.N. described seeing Harrison's vehicle leave at 11:52 p.m. with 2 occupants. She had been standing near her kitchen window when she heard raised voices, followed by the vehicle's engine roaring to life. The vehicle identification was corroborated by plate recognition footage from 25 Cambridge Street at 11:57 p.m. The institutional response shifted to include vehicular evidence and ride-along timeline construction. Investigative direction: the case now had 2 persons of interest and vehicle movement anchored. Procedural hook, witness interview, and ANPR footage yield suspect timeline. What seemed routine on the surface had begun to unravel in the data. A vehicle's departure time, once meaningless, now carried investigative weight. On 20th May 2014, at 9:00 a.m., Digital forensic officers extracted data from Harrison's mobile handset, a Samsung S4, seized on 15th of May. The forensic extraction log, FFE 1498, shows 27 call logs between Harrison and Pakai, clustering around the time frame 10:20 p.m. to 11:50 p.m. on 14th May. Analysts found a call at 11:42 p.m., lasting 14 seconds, and a text message sent by Harrison at 11:46 p.m. Reading, "We got to go." The digital extraction also revealed deleted messages recovered from temporary cache files, though none directly reference the incident. Investigative implication: a prelude communication between the two. Simultaneously, cell tower ping logs from Telecom NZ recorded handset EMSI for the Pakai handset at 11:48 p.m. in the Cambridge Street cell sector. Human dimension: phone data captured a silent coordination. Procedural hook: mobile extraction and tower ping logs add digital layer. The case was building not through dramatic confession, but through time-stamped metadata and recoverable transmissions. On 22nd of May 2014, senior forensic analyst Tui submitted her trace evidence report, TE-95, which matched the black hoodie from the foyer to fibers taken from Harrison's vehicle rear seat. Additionally, DNA swabs from the jumper hood interior returned a partial match to Pakai. Analysis report, DNA L-330. The analysis showed epithelial cells consistent with prolonged contact, suggesting the garment had been worn recently. Detectives also conducted interviews with 6 occupants of the flat block between 23 and 25 May. One tenant recalled hearing a gunshot at just after midnight and then rapid vehicle departure at 11:51 p.m., documented in interview 14-023. The multimodal evidence now linked the physical hoodie, vehicle timeline, and occupant testimonies. Investigative consequence: suspect link grows robust. Procedural hook: trace and DNA evidence consolidate linkages. What had been scattered observations, a piece of clothing, a vehicle's movement, a resident's recollection, now formed a coherent evidentiary pattern that investigators could triangulate with precision. On 30th of May 2014, Detective Sergeant Barnes obtained a court-ordered search warrant for Harrison's home at 15 Rata Street, Wellington. The search, executed at 7:30 a.m., recovered the .22 rifle's magazine from a locked safe behind the wardrobe. Ballistics testing, report BT14457, matched the spent casings from the scene to the magazine's ammunition. The rifling marks and firing pin impressions provided conclusive linkage between weapon and scene. Separately, financial records subpoenaed on 28th May revealed Pakai had withdrawn $600 at 10:30 p.m. on 14th May from an ATM 2 blocks away. Transaction receipt ATM 14053. Investigative direction: weapon and money trail converge. Procedural hook: warrant execution and ballistics plus financial link layer up. The investigation had moved from scene documentation to networked evidentiary architecture, each strand reinforcing the others, each timestamp narrowing the window of possibility. What seemed routine on the surface had begun to unravel in the data. By 12th of June 2014, detectives had completed 18 interview sessions, including Harrison's formal interview on 10th of June at the Hutt police station. In his record, interviewed the Hartschmeier 14-0610, Harrison claimed he arrived just after the trouble started and that his pal Pakai took off in the car. When pressed on timeline specifics, Harrison maintained he was inside the flat when the shooting occurred and only learned of it minutes later. Investigators juxtaposed this with traffic cam footage, timestamp 11:50 p.m., showing the vehicle exiting the car park at speed. Forensic timeline analysis indicated bullet-fired time between 11:53 and 11:54 p.m., Chronology Report CR 14-072. Investigative consequence: Harrison's claim clashed with minute precision external data. Procedural hook: interview versus independent timestamp triggers discrepancy. The gap between self-report and digital verification exposed the limits of narrative control. What a subject claimed happened versus what surveillance infrastructure recorded had become irreconcilable. On 15 March 2016, the trial commenced before the Supreme Court of New Zealand, SC 110, 2016 and SC 111, 2016. For the Crown, prosecutor Andrew Ewing presented the digital forensic, trace evidence and ballistics findings as comprehensive. The prosecution outlined a timeline built from multiple independent sources: GPS logs, cell tower data, CCTV footage, forensic matches, and witness testimony. Harrison was found guilty as a party to murder under Section 666(1) and 2 of the Crimes Act 1961, and Pakai as principal. The judgment states Mr. Harrison challenged a member of the group, after which Mr. Harrison told Mr. Pakai to shoot. The court held Harrison's role satisfied the party liability threshold. Investigative consequence: judicial acknowledgement of multi-party liability. Procedural hook: verdict defined the legal outcome. On 21 September 2016, Harrison was sentenced to 13 years imprisonment, non-parole period 9 years, and Pakai to 17 years, non-parole 11 years. A restorative justice conference was later held on 12 March 2021 between victim's father, Iafeta Matalasi, and Harrison, documented in press file farce. News, March 14, 2021. The institutional conclusion: the case moved into incarceration and victim-offender reconciliation phases. However, unresolved questions remain. Full motive clarity, gang chapter communications, and a set of uncharged participants. The investigation had answered the question of who and when, but deeper questions of why, beyond immediate confrontation, remained partially obscured. The final documented fact: Harrison's vehicle's dashcam unit timestamp at 10:25 p.m., 14 May 2014, the same device later used to tie his presence to the incident. The item remains in police evidence storage, a piece of technology that captured its owner's movements with procedural indifference. At 11:46 p.m. on 14 May 2014, the text message, "We got to go," was sent from Harrison's handset to Pakai. That entry, once routine, now anchors the turning point in the investigation.